This was definitely a massive year for television. I covered a lot of projects. The quality was there was a few bumps along the way, but it was definitely interesting. But I think the quality of the top level shows was certainly higher than in 2024.
This one sucks. Get a new one. It sucks so friggin' much. It sucks so friggin' much. This one sucks. Get a new one. I can't get rid of it fast enough. I can't get rid of it fast enough. You don't need a license to be a pet therapist, do you? No, ma'am. So, under what circumstances would you recommend?
Well, I don't know how this got another season. I don't know who's telling people at Amazon that we want this, but we don't. Like, the animation is probably its best quality, and even that's hard to look at sometimes. Just, like, the food parts are so bad. Like, why is this existing? I hope for God it's done.
Telephone calling me. Oh, but all that shit.
A big case of high potential, poor execution. The first few episodes collapsed. Like after the first few episodes collapsed into these three different storylines, none of which were focused on particularly well. Very mismatched. Heck, the only good story was the actual arson in his story that has a lot of reflections on our society today. The characters outside John Leguizamo are terrible. It had such good potential, but it just failed so badly. And I'm incredibly disappointed because it had so much potential. Never played the games, and I imagine the show would have been much better had Sam actually been the main character. The action was good, but the villains were really just not up to par, and as was everything else. And frankly, it just fell flat of the expectations I usually have for these kinds of animated shows from Netflix. The comedy had its moments, but otherwise, the unlikability of the characters outside of like Queen, Erica Henningsen, was just too much. Particularly at moments where they were on Steve Carell's side, and that some of the humor seemed targeted at Gen Z in a way that wasn't very nice or particularly funny. It had potential. It reached parts of it, mainly Colton Domingo. He's amazing. I'm just not sure if it's going to get better in the future, but hopefully less comedy, more emotion, which was nice, except for the fact that the entire point of Rowan Atkinson is that he is amazing at comedy. I want more. Just simple as that. Series failed to offer anything particularly funny, which is annoying given the premise. So much potential, great animation, and a pretty intriguing story. However, the pacing and storytelling was all over the place over the 18 episodes, and not even the unique concept of gorgeous animation could save it from how bad the pacing made it feel. And it's such a shame because of how many episodes it got, which is such a rarity these days. Another case of bad pacing. First 9 episodes are super cool, filled with tons of really cool steampunk moments, and Raylan version 2. The final 3 episodes were so unnecessary, but I guess this is what happens when you smash 3 books into one single series. One of my most highly anticipated series, and it got screwed. Ncuti is proving he is a great doctor. charming, emotional, filled with joy. There were some genuinely interesting stories in this season. I just felt the ending was just flat. It just fell flat, and it was just such a. Shuji just wasn't utilized to his full potential, which I think would have made the series better because he is such a good and unique doctor. I'm holding out hope that the future proves to be better than what it proves to be better.
Toss a coin to your witcher, O Valley of Plenty, O Valley of Plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your witcher, O Valley of Plenty. At the edge of the world, fight the mighty horde that bashes and breaks you and brings you to more.
I think I was a bit harsh on this series in my initial review. It's definitely trying to be like certain other shows with its own vibe, and whilst it's a bit more of a generic young adult comedy, it's certainly entertaining. Abaddon and Esther are the great characters. The rest of the family vary, but there is a lot of fun to be had among the 10 episodes. Certainly a step up in terms of enjoyment from previous adult-oriented animated series. It's not quite good, but it's fun. It's so obvious to me the sort of priority Marvel has, because this show kind of got nothing when it had a lot of potential, particularly to fully realize this character, and it had a lot of great moments, particularly with the big reveal, and a character that we began to grow to understand and like. It's just the potential was really squandered by only being 6 episodes, as many shows have been, and I'm just getting increasingly mad at the way Marvel is making shows, but hopefully that changes in the future. It was better, slightly. The combat was still amazing. Jaskier and Lawrence Fishburne carry hard. The series storyline, I will admit, was the weakest aside from the new villain, and Liam is not as good as Henry. He was never going to be. He's doing his best. He's technically playing a different version of Geralt than previous. It's just clear that the series has lost its way, and in many places it's struggling to hold up against the other major fantasy shows out there at the moment, and it's a shame because it had such potential. The first was building up to a fantastic, dark, emotional, and brutal final battle, and the second half just failed to reach that. It's not as bad as people made it out to be. It did suffer a few major issues, which I'm going to hope was mainly Netflix, but I have a feeling it was primarily the Duffer Brothers involved there, and it just made it less enjoyable than it should have been for a finale of such a grand show. The set of these three stories were quite fascinating. From a venture story that needs to continue to a Shakespearean Western style Roger for Cat Bay, it's a fantastic series of shorts, and these kinds of stories are perfect to expand small parts of lore and set up for future projects. Like, it's clear there's a series about the path that could be made and a bounce on show that needs to happen. It's just simple, well crafted, and lots of fun, and the perfect little bit of Star Wars content. I loved this season. I thought Belle Revere was its weakest episode, especially compared to the other Black Mirror episodes, but Eulogy and Common People were amazing and emotional episodes, and Common People was a dark as hell. The variety of the episodes as well as the range of terror they evoked was quite impressive, and Black Mirror is something I will always want to continue because it's clear there is such a drive to create these cool original sci-fi stories.
In the darkest night, I make the bad guys fall. There's a million heroes. Computer overcompensate, but I'm the best of them all.
I'm on my way, sir.
Who has the coolest gadgets? Who has the tricked out ride? Who does the sickest?
Harley Quinn has been an interesting departure from the rest of the DC Elseworld with its sort of, crazy adult comedy. And this season was quite interesting. And it also possesses one of the better lesbian relationships on TV at the moment. Bane and Clayface steal the show as usual. The show has definitely got some crazy storylines. The version of Brainiac we got in the show was quite ridiculous, but I quite enjoyed it. And I kind of want it to have a proper ending, so I hope it gets more seasons. I really enjoy it. Not too familiar with the Gundam lore, but this was a fun series. The fight scenes were epic. I think it suffered from a similar problem to Moonrise, which was that there was some timeline issues and disjointed stories, which the animation made up for. But I think that was something that dragged it down a little bit for me. The guy who made Cowboy Bebop made another anime. Of course, I'm going to watch it. It was really fun. A sort of detective noir show with some dystopian and futuristic sci-fi. To create a really fun show that was filled with a lot of chaos and action, some great use of mystery, and I have certainly enjoyed my slow dive into anime, and this was a pretty good way to start.
Pride is a damsel in distress. Hiding away.
Simple 4-episode miniseries, beautifully animated, particularly in its inspiration from a variety of African artwork, and its full stories building out the lore of the War Dogs and the larger MCU with a pretty wild ending. It was very good to see that lore get expanded and see some different parts of the lore. The also introduction of an Iron Fist that I kind of want to see more of. Did feel like another show that was just thrown onto the back burner and not really, because it seems like there was a lot more that was going to be done with it, which is a shame. We need more Marvel animated shows, and once again, just Marvel needs to change the way that they are making TV at the moment. It was an unfortunate final season to end on, and whilst it was somewhat the best season we've had, given the villain with Alfred Molina voicing him, which of course meant he was going to be amazing. It's just kind of sad that this was not given the full potential that it was with the full 5 seasons. The reuniting of the family at the end was great. That was a really nice kind of way to end it on. My love for the series has shifted a lot from its good moments to its bad. And I just think I think the third season did pull it back. I'm just kind of sad that it didn't get more. A What If spin-off, better than most of the back half of What If. The use of violence was very good, the use of many characters was very good, the use of animation was very, very good, but especially with some of the one-shots they were able to do. And it was just glad Throw was being considered for season 2, because not only was it clearly set up for that, but there's a lot more potential for this series and this world. Also, they were actually really able to give T'Challa a really good end, and I think a much more satisfying end than what we got, which is really nice. And Eternally Hulk is definitely one of the craziest things the MCU has done so far. The year of 2025's trend seemed to be a most very improved season 2s, because this was miles above what the first season was. Sam being there made Lara less annoying, and the villain was probably its worst quality because the villain was basically exactly the fucking same as it was last time, just rebranded. But the African gods and the mythology is really cool and something I wish we could see more of in just other media. I think that the most annoying thing as well was that it was given an open ending, which was kind of setting up for a third season, even though it's not going to get it, which happens more than once in this list, and it annoys the hell out of me because I was just starting to like the series. Comedic, well-produced, simple, great sarcastic lead in Alexander Skarsgård. Apple TV's high production value always comes through, and this series, like the sets and the costumes and the VFX, looks amazing. It's very high quality. It's clear that Alex is having such a fun time playing this sort of overly sarcastic, definitely not violent robot, and the very dumb but kind of very heartwarming characters make up for that, and it's just got, and there's some deeper lore here that I'm interested to explore in the sort of future seasons of the show.
He had to sit and listen to those awful engines roar. You ain't gonna jump no more. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die.
I love the war parts of it the most. Jacob Elordi did a really good job with that. Kieran Hines did a lot of really good stuff with his moments. The final scene with the two of them is something that is very, very emotional. It'll leave you sobbing. Connection between the two parts, the history was amazing. I feel like it could have had longer. Like, it was only 5 episodes. It could have definitely had longer. But overall, it was a really good little mini-series.
Surrounded by losers, misfits and boozers, hanging by your fingernails.
Love the show. It's something so different from what other spy shows are doing. It's more comedic, and Gary Oldman's clearly having the time of his life playing Jackson Lamb. It's easily the best character of the show in his interactions with people. There's a lot of chaos and a lot of chaotic moments. Some of the characters can feel a little one-note and dull and like uninteresting just because they're like they've got very one-sided personalities. But just the comedic chemistry that they all generate is so good. And it's such a fun show, and I'm glad that it's getting the opportunity to do its full run. One of my biggest disappointments of Neil Gaiman's poor attitude is that this show is not going to get the opportunity to continue and fully complete its story, which is why I think the second season felt a little bit rushed and a bit janky in places because it was trying to smash everything into one. A high production value, lots of cool VFX. It looked good, certainly. The family a big driving force behind it. Stephen Fry as well. His character is amazing. The little death special at the end was an extra little hint of beauty, something really. It's a very philosophical series with like a mix of dark fantasy, and I really like that. And I'm really upset that the series did not get the chance to really go fully with what it was intending to.
It's time for training and we're getting started. It's on, you know. You wanna see weapons shouted. We rock, you roll. They say.
This fantastic little 3-episode series, nostalgic itself. Not only is the animation stellar, but it's a darker story and it's awesome. I need this to be like a movie or a much longer miniseries because it's so cool and does something so interesting with the lore of Ninjago. Like, doing Ninjago Elseworlds, kind of like the Ninjago movie, would be awesome, and something like this is proof that it can be very effective. I have a much higher view of this season than most people seem, especially of the Can't Stop episode, because I found it quite cool. I do think that there are some weaker episodes, but the ones like Spider-Rose, How Zeke Got Religion, the 400 Boys, more than make up for it with how insanely cool they were, or how brutal, depending on who you ask. This series is another I wish continues because it's so much fun, and there is so much thought and care put into these dozens of unique stories. This is another example of how Star Wars has improved by allowing other people to work on it. These 9 stories, including the various continuations, taking inspiration from people like Akira Kurosawa and tons of cultural references, just really takes it to another level and has some really cool interpretations of the Star Wars lore. And it just needs to continue because getting other cultures involved in this project is doing a lot of cool things for Star Wars. This is a sci-fi series that, like many with Apple TV, has just great production value, high amounts of philosophy and talent. Lee Pace, which is not common amongst most Apple TV shows, is doing a really great job and is so good as the villain. One gripe, kind of wasted the original Mule and Pilo Asbeck, who is a great villainous actor. It just kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, I didn't like that as much. I'm glad that the series is getting its wings to continue because there's so much fascinating stuff about it. It looks cool, but there's a lot of it's a lot more conversationy than it is about sort of giant wars, and it's so much cool stuff. I really like it. The best Boys Universe series currently, and the second season did not pull any punches. I feel its great advantage over The Boys is in its characters who feel much more rounded and have a greater depth of emotions and development compared to The Boys. Ethan Slater and Hamish Linklater were amazing. Were an amazing villain. Everything set up for The Boys' final season very well. We're probably not going to get a season after The Boys season 5, but what we did get was amazing, and R.I.P. Chance. I'm glad that his character still had some impact after his death. Mark Ruffalo is an underappreciated actor, and this series proves it. He is the emotional core of this series, and his speech at the end was heartbreaking, as his entire family storyline was. Making it more grounded and emotional miniseries made it so much more impactful when things happened to them, and it really executed the storyline well in this way, and it was a much more character-driven story and mystery, and I sometimes liked those a bit more. This one was an example of one I liked a lot more. Hawaiian history finally gets its time in the spotlight through a fascinating and well-produced series where Jason Momoa and Tamora Morrison shine through. The final battle, which is insane, was an awesome little sort of well-designed medieval-ish, fantasy-ish battle, and I really enjoyed it. I'm glad there is always on-screen battles, and it was just great to see Hawaii get its history put on screen at last.
Again, swinging through the city so fast you can barely notice him. Wall crawler, you know what's after that? Friendly neighborhood, he's taking care of the habitat. Urban acrobat, don't know where he's...
Another miniseries that's all heart. Pixar is too good at making even the smallest stories hit hard. Each individual story had its own stylizations that brought its imagination to life and helped to really hone in on each character's struggles and insecurities, leading to an ending that is a lovely cathartic moment. I love Pixar. They are so good at milking out emotions of any situation, and this series was something that was adorable, it was sweet, it was relatable. They are too good at what they do. This new take on Spider-Man is comic book brought to life in a different way to Spider-Verse. It's much more peel a page off and plant it onto the screen, And I really liked that. The animation did have moments where it looked a little weird, but it was so comic like that I looked past it and I was like, this style works for this show. Would have been nice if it was the origin of MCU Peter Parker, but it being like an Elseworld alternate universe thing still works. I like their use of different characters, not making Peter so much a loser as much as he's just kind of invisible and just kind of awkward. There's a lot of really good stuff the series is doing. I'm interested to see where the series goes in the future. A new animated series, let's go. It had a great animation for a start, a very sort of stop motiony kind of, not quite an Arcane style, but very similar in a way. It had a very interesting story as well, a strong voice cast that included Ralph Ineson, again. And it's this mix of sort of this teenage, young adult coming of age story, which was executed much better than a lot of other stories that do this. And of course, the sort of classic uprising chosen one story. And I just really need to read these books now because it's such a fascinating world.
둥글게 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 빙글빙글 돌아가며 춤을 춥시다.
A final season, or rather a final few episodes, that was doing so well on the emotional devastation and the continuation of the story, that ended on too much of a happy note. You cannot drive your series towards an ending like that, only to have a semi-status quo. That is not how this works.
Don't look us right in the face. It's like staring at a burning sun. Got teeth like razor blades, and you know that we're out for blood. We're out for blood. Better run, better run.
I am getting increasingly frustrated, as I've already mentioned, by Netflix's inability to give these series a proper ending. I was expecting a proper, valiant, decent ending, but I got left on a cliffhanger on what I was clearly supposed to be a 3-act series, ending on a dark cliffhanger of despair. The love triangle stuff, I will say, however, is much better handled than a lot of other series, but damn you, Netflix, for that ending. This did Squid Game better than I think even the original series. It has great historical references and amazing fight scenes. Please give this another season because the story is so good. It's such a fascinating way to explore the history of the time through sort of this fantastical way with such great characters and such impactful characters, and really create a series built on emotion and drama like Squid Game, but improve on Squid Game. The production value must have been high for this one because not only was the dedication to practical effects for the Xenomorphs clear, but even the VFX, and especially the sound effects as well, was very, very impressive and very, very top tier. And the confirmation of Season 2 has definitely made its weird ending a little bit less problematic, considering it's continuing the story into a second season. But it was not so much the characters I was interested in as much as it was the designs and the work of the creatures, with the TSLs particularly being a terrifying new one. It was a very well done series. First of all, Pedro Pascal, really, really good. Episode 2, devastating. I really like watching Bella Ramsey. I really like watching Isabel Merced. Together, they're great. There's a lot of really good acting in this show. I can understand why people were upset. I can understand it. I personally really liked it. I understand that it's set how it was set up. I do think that it maybe missed opportunities to be a bit more in depth and a bit more violent. I think that's probably its biggest downfall. But otherwise, I still really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited and slightly nervous about where the series is going to go in the future. This little series has been so much fun with the various references, the jokes, the animation, its voice acting. Dan Stevens is another great villain in Solidus, and the series brings together more crazy references from both LEGO Star Wars history and the franchise as a whole. It's fun, it's energetic, it's comedic, and it's this perfect little experiment that brings a lot of nostalgia to me as someone who grew up on LEGO Star Wars content. 5 episodes of classic Asterix humor, puns, and entertainment, with just a bunch of friendship debacle with Obelix to round it out, makes this for a perfect little comedy history series done by French people, which is why it's so good. And the little boar animated short at the end really rounded it out to be a fun little series. Of course, the creator of BoJack Horseman is going to go and create another emotionally devastating series, this time about a Jewish family animated in this sort of colourful, scrapbooky style. The intercutting between the various timelines actually wasn't as devastating to the impact as it could have been. It actually made things more impactful by giving a lot of context for how these sort of long lives lived. There was a lot of great moments of comedy, of course, but there was also a lot of deep emotional moments that were really impactful, and I can see a lot of people finding a lot of connection with a lot of what's said and what is done in the series.
And let us celebrate what it is to be an Adams. When you're an Adams, you need to have a little moonlight. When you're an Adams, you need to feel a little chill. You have to see the world in shades of grey.
I really like the first season. I love anything Tim Burton. I love the gothic vibes. I love the sort of comedic, macabre, kind of young adult angle. The stop motion segment was a very good touch, particularly in homage to Tim Burton's stop motion work. And I really like when they needed together as a pair, although I do wish they would stop dating other people and just date each other. The season definitely felt a bit darker than the last one, a bit more violent. The Addams family actually being an Addams family makes it better. I do agree Wednesday by herself sometimes struggles a bit, but the Addams family together, particularly when you have Catherine Zeta-Jones, they are fantastic. They are really, really great together and really blend together. And it did kind of make up for the disjointed story a little bit. I really like the show. I'm really excited for where the third season is going to go. Also, Lady Gaga could have been in it for way more than just the 5 seconds she was in it.
And I can't sleep. Uranium fever has gone and got me down. Uranium fever is spreading all around. With a Geiger counter in my hand,
I'm going out to stake me some government land.
Uranium fever has gone and got me down. Well, I had a talk with the AEC and they brought out some maps that look good.
This was definitely a weaker, more disjointed storyline, but it has a lot of setup for the more fiery Season 3, with a lot of the stuff that's going on with things like Robert House, the world government, the NCR, the Brotherhood, all that. And the production design, of course, is its biggest quality. The way it really brings the games to life visually is super, super stunning. I love Walton Goggins in it. His character is great. I think the story was its biggest downgrade, and I agree that it's definitely weaker than the first season, but I think it's doing a lot of lifting up for what is going to be an even more insane third season, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where things go with this.
I was scared of dentists and the dark. I was scared of pretty girls and starting conversations. All my friends are turning green. Yeah, the magician's assistant in their dream.
I love this season. It was a great improvement over the first one, mainly in the production value. The VFX felt better and stronger, the acting was stronger, and despite a few changes made to the story, it continues to move very well. It was actually paced much better too, given it was 8 episodes as well. I like the way they are reinterpreting the story, particularly since we're seeing everyone's POV and not just Percy's. But although someone does need to tell Walker that it's supposed to be a slow burn, because Parker Beth being Parker Bething, and it is incredible, and then it's funny, but it's also somewhat crazy. Luke and Thalia are going in the exact right direction. The story's kind of with how the story's going to go down the line, and the darker parts of the story are being set up so well. Season 3 is going to be its biggest test, I think, given how that's never been adapted before. If it can get over that hurdle, I think we're in for a full season of a full show. It's a slow burn, yes. Like the first episode really hits the ground running and then it kind of slows itself down. But that's really good. It has a lot of conversation, it has a lot of debate, it has a lot of mystery and discovery mixed in with, yes, some like horror. And it's a very well shot series. And I'm really curious to see where they take this in the future, because it's clearly got a lot of things that are going to happen, and it's sort of sitting in the background. And I know Vince is really good, and I know he's going to pull something crazy out for what is setting up to be one of the best original sci-fi series that we've got in ages.
We walk the footsteps of our fathers, trail blessed by our mothers. They bought the land with their blood long ago. Long ago. Oh, sing on heaven. Oh, weep for the land.
Another cancellation that pissed me off, because this was the show's best season by far. It had really finally found its footing in its characters being set up on the right path, being way more interesting. The Battle of the Two Rivers is another really good on-screen fantasy battle, and it was put together so well, and it was given, the whole episode to do some really cool stuff, and it made Perrin one of my favorite characters in the whole show. From the Aja Civil War, to the Aiel Wastes, to the setup of the finale, to the sort of questions about where the series was going to go, it had finally moved kind of past the sort of all of the setup phase and was really going into the now it's time to kick ass phase, and it sucked that Amazon would cancel it, because we will never get to see the future that the show could have been, and that's the biggest disappointment of it. James Gunn just keeps cooking, because this was a more emotional season this time. The Earth X stuff was my favorite part, particularly because everyone figured it out, and it was just so funny trying to watch Chris, waiting for Chris to figure it out. John Cena is cementing himself as one of the best wrestlers turned actors, because he really showed his range in this with his emotion, particularly his emotional range in this series across various points. The supporting cast of the 11th Street Kids turned Checkmate are amazing. They've all got great chemistry together. They've all got great comedy together. They are such a great group of people. Oh, and Eagly and Red Sin Wild stole the show because you can't give an Eagle an Aura Farm moment and cast Michael Rooker and expect them not to steal the show. Come on, man. Music, action, jokes, overall quality up to the max for a fantastic new season of an unexpectedly great series. The best season yet, Invincible War, peak shit. Like, peak action and emotional impact, conquest fight, epic, insane. And there's still worse to come, jeez. Character development, amazing. Finally, Mark and Eve are dating. Oliver is becoming a much stronger character. Rex, my poor sweet Rex. Omni-Man and Alan are back together. Battle Beast comes back. Invincible War, Steven Yeun showing off just because he can. This is one of the best superhero shows of the decade, and this season has continually turned things up to the max even more. Even the debate at the beginning of the series between Mark and Cecil was done very, very well, to the point where it divided fan bases, but both sides had things that they were right about, and I think that's its biggest quality, is that everyone was able to agree that everyone had points that were right, but that methods were perhaps wrong. This season and the show are just awesome and are just continually increasing in becoming my favorite superhero show of all time. Talk about an improved second season, because that might have been the greatest final fight scene I have ever seen. An entire episode of some of the most insane animation and magic casting you will ever witness. After a season of setup, it leads into a season of a lot more action and a lot more depth. They even made the Vampire Messiah villain a lot better, which I think was a positive for a lot of people. It's just that final fight scene, man. It was insane. This is how you should do it, and it just genuinely might be one of my favorite Castlevania moments and one of my favorite animated fight scenes of all time. Rock, punk, action, demon, sci-fi, all words that made me go hell yes whilst watching the series. Not only is it entertaining as hell with a good blend of comedy and drama, especially with Dante, but presented a fascinating argument about morality and humanity, particularly religion. The White Ram was a fantastic and sadistic villain, and the animated shifts and the sort of backstory episode in episode 6 with Afterlife, just brilliant. And in fact, all of the music choices and all of the rock songs were perfectly chosen. It's just bring on season 2. I want more chaos. I want more punk rock. It's awesome. I love it. Let's just keep it rolling. This emotional comedy brought on another season of character growth and beauty, only to drop the hammer in the final 30 minutes with another brutal and brilliant conversation that sets up for a final brutal season of TV. The scene with Kami and JLC was another cathartic and emotionally devastating scene that showcases how talented both of these two actors are. It's to the point where I have a feeling whatever finale they come up with is going to be the hardest, most emotional, and somehow beautiful moment of the entire series. Also, I need more Radiohead in this show, please. It fits so well. Also, John Bernthal is an amazing actor who deserves more praise and more time as Mickey.
The adventure begins. They were always beside you, your nerdy best friends, and the DM to guide you. And they rise from the flames for the battles ahead. Villains beware, 'cause you're about to be dead. They got magic and flair. They got falchion.
I really love Cripple. I've come to love them so much in everything they do and everything they represent. And this new series was awesome. Darker, somber, emotional, and yet still managed to have moments of good comedy. Not and Jester have quickly become my favorite characters, and I have a feeling Not's backstory is going to be the thing that breaks me, and I barely survived Caleb's backstory this season. You add some great villains in, and you have a recipe for a brutal and emotional series to rival Legend of Vox Machina, with how good of a D&D show it can be, but my word am I terrified for my emotional state after this show.
Storms coming, I can see the clouds. No running's gonna save you now, and heart rate is gonna fall down like gravity, like gravity. Eye for an ISIS, you won't be a dead. Blood and make blood, gonna get my hands wet.
Improved Seasons really did hit hard last year. No way this show got better. The writing felt tighter and stronger, the music and the frequency of the songs felt better, from Brighter to Hear My Hope to Gravity to Love in a Bottle and Losing Streak, were all amazing. The development of Husk and Angel's relationship and the devastation at the end, the inclusion of the GOAT, Patrick Stump, in the music, he needed more time, his character really needs more time, he needs to sing more, he's awesome. And Vox becoming one of the villains that the show needed. I have no doubt many things from this season are going to carry over into the next one, and it's going to be great. The series was a big improvement over the last, more emotional, more impactful, more connected and stronger. It's clear that the multi-season renewal has improved the writing. It feels more cohesive. I love this show, and I'm looking forward to seeing how all the remaining mysteries are answered. This series is one of Apple TV's best. The production design and cinematography enhance the creepiness and weirdness of it all. The mystery around Lumen and the Severance program, the memories, the trauma, all wrapped up in these weird and twisty visuals. Adam Scott and the supporting cast proved to be amazing at portraying these broken, confused characters, and also characters who are not entirely good people all the time. They are great at navigating the story, and the cast of the Lumen employees are as mysterious as they are terrifying. Ending with another cliffhanger sets up Season 3 to finally explain the mysteries and potentially the series finale in a fiery and intense thriller, a unique and brilliantly executed sci-fi series that delves deep into psychology, fear, trauma, corporations, cults, and other mysterious elements, and a visual world executed to perfection to create my new favorite series.
If waterfall, when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away, but something in our minds will always stay.
Brutal, emotional, devastating. More words could describe it, but those are all I need. 3 brilliant performances, a story, all too real and all too unfortunate in this world. Incredible talent created in one shot for each episode and do it in a way that does not jeopardize the emotional weight of these incredible performances, particularly by Owen Cooper, who really just gave it his all in his sort of debut performance and deserved all the awards he got. One that allows for claustrophobia of it all to be showcased and ending at a third episode so brutal that you will never be the same again. Such a magnificent series, such a brutal execution of such a devastating real-world concept. I cannot recover from this show. It's one of the best things I have ever seen, and it hurt like hell. Marvel cooked so damn hard. Visuals? Check. Lighting? Check. Emotion? Double, even triple check. Performances? Check. Energy? Check. Villains? Check. Punisher? Check. And he was the best part of the best damn scene in the whole show. Alongside the episode with Hector Ayala. What a masterful continuation of the Netflix series. What a brilliant piece of grounded superhero media that was filled with the brutality, the emotion, the violence, and the classic philosophy so present in the original show. It's perfect. It's got a lot to do to keep the momentum going, but it was amazing. It was superb, it was insane, and I cannot wait for what the next chapter will offer. Show by far. The Gorman Massacre arc and that one particular episode was some of the finest episodes of TV, and just another case of high production value because high quality. The Gorman Massacre was the most devastating episode arc because you knew it was happening and you couldn't do anything about it. You had all the context, you had all the POVs, and yet you could not do anything, yet sit and watch in horror as the event played out. Music, performances up to the max. Genevieve O'Reilly's phenomenal. Her speech devastatingly real and impactful. It's no wonder she had to flee. Andor and Diego, his actor, proved themselves across the course of this series to be one of the finest Star Wars characters. Stellan Skarsgård given his dues as Luthen. Never before could a series like this, even for once in my mind, have been this good. But here we are, the best series of 2025, and easily, as I've said, one of the best pieces of Star Wars media, and a brutal political nightmare of uprisings, failures, struggles, sacrifice, and of course, hope. A packed and action-packed year of TV. I think that a lot of these shows had quality and missed out on a few areas, whether it be length, pacing, visuals, performance, characters, story. There were some elements that weren't always there, but overall, I think I had a lot of enjoyment.